What is up, guys? Welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to check out the best champions in 6.21 if all you want to do is climb for the end of the season. I'm going to put timestamps down in the description below, and we'll also go over some picks to watch out for as well, ones you probably didn't expect. Now we're just going to jump in straight away. We're going to start with mid today, and the second one is going to be Syndra. I know most of you will probably put her number one. I know how much you all love playing with your balls, but there are two reasons. The first one is she's banned a lot. It's hard to get comfortable with a champion and like muscle memory and stuff. It sounds weird, but the more you play a champion in a row, so like game after game, the better you're actually going to be because everything becomes habit. The second thing is more counters are coming up now. We're going to have more on that in a second, but basically people are seeing Syndra everywhere and now they're discovering stuff that are good against her. Now saying that, she is very good though, right? The lane phase kind of has it all for her. She has push, wave clear, she has roam and kill pressure as well. Wave clear is super important right now because you don't want to lose your turrets, and you can also control the mid lane. There's always this threat of killing your opponent, especially if they aren't rushing like an Abyssal for example, but there are a few things that I see loads of Syndras not doing that you should do. You always want to prepare your balls before a fight. You can just take that as life advice if you want, but pick up 3 of them, throw them in, a bigger stun, more chance to hit, better ult damage straight away as well. It's very important, okay? The other thing is if you're in range to just use your ultimate, you can use your ult and then use your stun, your E afterwards. It's like an AoE stun and it's really good. I hardly ever see people doing this, and it's just such an important tool to have in a team fight. Like you can get a 7-ball stun or something crazy like that. Anyway, number 1 is going to be Annie. Now she has not played that often or banned either, so we kind of have that part down. Honestly, she actually has good matchups. Like she's really good in the lane phase. You have free Q farm basically. Kill potential is always there as well with Tibbers. Your roam is solid. Flash ults can always turn team fights. She's had a crazy win rate for a while now as well. Like especially at low ranks, it's like a Master Yi, right? But with a bit more depth, I guess. I mean, like people are going to say noob champion, easy champ because she's simple, right? But simple isn't bad. Simple is a good thing, to be honest. It means you can easily do your job and focus on the smaller things in the game. Right now, to be honest, if you want to climb, if you can play Annie, you're a good mid laner, then Annie is probably the best you can play. You farm well, you push, you roam, you flash ult, and it's a very easy game. Now the one you want to watch out for though is Xerath. Now in my opinion, one of the best actually counters to Syndra. The lane phase, you can stay away, you can just farm with your Q, your W. It's not the best, but it's actually not terrible. Later is really where this shifts into your favor though. You have long range poke, you have your ultimate damage. You can easily kill her from really far away or at least chunk her before a fight starts. It's actually a super annoying matchup for Syndra. She can't get in range to do anything. Xerath is already a strong pick in my opinion. Your poke is really high, but this matchup is definitely a reason I think he'll be played more. So we're going to move into the jungle. Next, number 2 is going to be Vi. And remember with this video, like there's no point me telling you about picks that you already know about. Like if they're super popular, like Kha'Zix or something, for example, who is pretty good right now, there are just some that are the best to climb with, and that's the ones we're focusing on. So Vi is super strong, but she's also very versatile. So you either go tank or you go damage. You can one-shot someone or absorb damage and still do damage. It's actually really good to have that you can swap in the game. The game is about early pressure right now in team fights. Now Vi does kind of both of these. Actually, that is why her win rate is so good, because you can flip a switch and go from like a heavy ganker to an actual team fighter. There are some really common mistakes though I actually want to go over in this video. Normally I don't like pinpoint tips and stuff, but I think I kind of want to do that more in my videos. Anyway, let me know in the comments if you actually want more of these or not. So it's not using your E properly. It's not using it as an auto reset. So you want to actually auto, then immediately use your E to get extra auto damage in before. Like it's kind of a waste otherwise. You're also not using your Q for damage. You just Q to gap close to get in range to use your ultimate. It's a big part of your damage actually, especially if you're building for damage. You're building like Warrior or Triforce for example. You often need the Q damage to kill someone. If you're going to use her, to be honest, this patch, just focus on farming quickly, ganking a lot after that, and then catching people with your ultimate over and over, and it should be a pretty easy game. Number 1 is going to be Nunu though. Sadly, the nerfs didn't really do too much. He has the number 1 win rate in pretty much every region right now. It's kind of disgusting. He either goes full tank or he kind of goes this damage tank like my video that I did recently. Full tank is seriously annoying because he just doesn't die, and then you get Thornmail later, to be honest. That is a big thing. The problem is he has so much health, right? And he has like Spirit Vision and stuff like this. Like you need a lot of auto attacks to kill him, but that's more damage taken back from Thornmail. Nunu just has so much health naturally. It makes Thornmail a better item, I guess, but also Titanic. Like he's more of a carry build for sure, but with the health stacking, it does crazy damage. Remember, it's not just about him though. He's slowing the enemy's attack speed and movement speed. You cannot kite for anything if he snowballs you. The other side of this obviously is your Blood Boil. You're boosting your AD carries damage as well. He just works so well in this meta of team fights and early pressure. He's very annoying to play against and just way too tanky. My one to watch though is Sejuani. So he's really good right now, like seriously underrated. The crowd control you have in your kit is insane for a team fight. You get super tanky, you do loads of damage. It's just hard to deal with, I guess. Getting near her with her AoE damage and her charge is actually very dangerous. Her ganks are decent, so is her farm, but team fight is just the kind of another level. Really, she's one of those tanks who just provides everything you want and can dive really well as well, which is important. You want to dive people when you're ahead. So we're going to stick with kind of our solo roles. Next, we're going to go, that didn't really make any sense. We're just going to go for top lane anyway. The second spot is going to be Jace. I still think Jace is misunderstood as a pick, to be honest. So hopefully this video is going to clear it up. Jace is an early game champion. You use his range advantage and damage to get a lead, but later his short range like auto attacks in team fights and your poke kind of falls off. He is still fine, but I see so many people play this wrong. They get fed, they're like, oh look, I have 5 kills. They sit back, they keep farming, and then by the time they team fight, their poke isn't doing as much. They're blocked by tanks and they can't even like burst people. This is really important because I think a lot of people know what Jace is good at now, but ideally you want to get a lead, you group, you poke while it still hurts, and you roam. That is actually how you win with Jace. Skipping tier also powered him up in the rankings in this video. He comes online way earlier now and he just crushes his lane phase, which is a really good thing. A fed Jace is something you do not want to fight mid game at all, but late game it's not as bad. So number 1 is back to Riven though, for now at least. Just she's like always useful, like way too strong right now, overbuffed with her skin, so rip solo queue. Thank you, Riot. I'm just kidding. I mean, kind of. I think she probably was buffed for the championship skin, but you can feed for sure, right? But the difference is with Riven, if she does, she still has an impact. There's a big difference between a good Riven and an amazing Riven, so it means you're always learning, you're always improving, and in theory, you're always climbing. If you get ahead, you crush because you stack damage, right? If you get behind, you flash stun, you split push. Not many champions can really 1v1 a Riven late game, so she just has so much pressure. I really hate playing against Rivens now, to be honest. Like over the past month or something, I've kind of got sick of it because they have good team fights, good lane phases, and they're really well rounded right now. Riven mains might say there are some obvious weaknesses, and sure, I agree, but like most people cannot abuse those weaknesses, so you still win and you still stand a chance no matter how the game is going. The one to watch out for is actually going to be Nasus. So he was overbuffed as well, actually like gets seriously tanky late game now. He is a ticking time bomb even more than he was before. You win early, you crap on him, otherwise he is going to bone you, and definitely better at lower ranks. He's okay at higher up as well, but you have to kind of rely on your team to not get completely destroyed, I guess. It's the dumb thing is you can still win your lane anyway if they make mistakes and they try and go too aggressive. So let's move on to the AD carries next. We're going to look at Jhin, and 4 or 5 man bot lane ganks are now everywhere. I'm not sure if you guys have noticed as well if this is like the same for every single elo. There is loads of action around bot lane right now, and champions who can keep up are the ones who tend to survive or come out on top. It means we need some early damage, and arm pen builds are the best for this. That's kind of why Jhin I think is number 2 right now. He has his root tail with his team in these fights as well, his ultimate. You don't even need to get close to wreck someone, and he controls the lane as well, like your crit shots, your Q, pushes like a madman. Basically, it's very hard to lane against Jhin, and he can normally get a good lead. Even if he does get ganked a lot, and this is really important, even if he's set behind and stuff, he will still be useful. He still has the snare, he has like the slows from his ultimate shots as well. A lot more that he brings to the table, just like other than his crazy damage. Now, Misfortune is a number 1 because Death by Misfortune is so broken. It feels so bad. Your ultimate is so OP with any form of crowd control. You can close out 1 games by diving super easy. You can turn around lost ones as well, but the lane phase is just kind of too easy, to be honest. I actually hate playing bot this patch right now because of all these ganks and like 4 or 5 mans and stuff, but on Misfortune, it does not even matter. I actually don't even care. I don't even have to try that hard to win. You have low mobility, that's the only kind of downside, but you just sit back and you press R. It's really simple. You have your Q for some poke, your ultimate to finish, but I have a couple of tips that are specific if you want to play Misfortune. So you want to be setting up the back line of minions, so the caster minions on low health, so that you can just basically, there's a potential really for your Q to crit if the enemy walks forward. If they do walk forward, then you can just use the Q on that minion. It's already set up for you there, and it's going to crit them in the face and do some good damage, so it kind of zones them for free basically. You also want to be using your E before your ultimate because it's slow, so it's harder to get out of it, and your W is attack speed and move speed, okay? So you use it at the start of a proper fight. Finally, Ghostblade is really kind of for the move speed, not for the attack speed on the active. It sounds kind of strange, but you want to use it to position or escape mostly. Now, the one to watch out for is actually going to be Vayne, and rip solo Q after I say this, but like Vayne is getting really good again. In my opinion, the crit build is super good, but attack speed works as well. Runins is also still very good with the Warlords. You just have to survive. You do okay in lane. You do decent damage early as well if you do get ganked or anything like that, and then you're very good versus tanks. The tank meta is starting to come back a little bit more. In season 7, I think it's really going to come back, and there is less AoE damage right now. Vayne is always better when there is less AoE because it's like less to actually hit her. The tank meta as well makes Vayne better, so together she's very strong again. Now for support, I know I keep leaving you guys till last, but nothing has really changed changing, to be honest. Riot are not targeting supports at all. Sona and Janna are probably still the best two, actually, like the top two, but they're just so good in team fights, like so good at protecting the carries in this meta right now. I don't really want to keep going over those two every single time, so we're going to ignore them, and number two, if not those two, would be Morgana. It's kind of a reaction to all this crowd control around right now. It lets AD carries freely kite and protects them for a short time, more than any others, to be honest. Like, she's good in the lane phase because she has good kill pressure as well. It's actually strange, but she's a good mix of offense and defense, I think, which is really good, and it's kind of what we're looking for. You can assist with ganks as well. You're good in team fights, and that is really like the perfect ideal. And you also can build damage if you really want to screw the enemy team about, but in my opinion, I still think Peel is super strong on Morg, not diving. And number one though, if we're ignoring Sona and Janna, would be Nami. Actually very similar to Morgana because she can go offense and defense. Like, she's very good at using her spells to get kills or using them to keep people alive. Like, one of the more aggressive picks in the lane phase, and I know that sounds really weird because it's Nami, she's low health, but that poke and heal have a lot of pressure, to be honest. There are a ton of good supports at the moment, but I think Nami might be the most well-rounded, if that makes sense. Sona is really good in team fights, so is Janna, but they're not very good early, I guess, or not as good early. Anyway, Nami does both, maybe not quite as well in team fights, but she's still super good. You can definitely carry a bad AD carry though, and that's got to count for something in my opinion. Plus you have like more playmaking potential than most. You have slows, bubble, ultimate knockup, like that, all ways to help your team get kills. So that wraps up this video. Let me know what you think about my picks in this. Let me know what's working for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it though. Thank you for watching until the end, and for now, let's go to the robots.